Well, this coming in this evening, a new suspect has been arrested in connection with the gruesome killing of 14-year-old Likhona foso. The Pakistani Spaza-shop owner is alleged to have issued an instruction to have the teenager killed. The teenager was found mutilated in an open field not far from her home after going missing. Now, tensions have heightened in Durban Deep with the shop belonging to the suspect being looted. The other accused, Mduduzi Mnisi, appeared before the Roodepoort Magistrates Court on murder charges, and his case has been postponed to next month. Johannesburg Public Safety MMC Mgeni joins us now for an update. MMC, a good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. This new development, of course, we have known about the suspect that was arrested yesterday, but now the latest development, a new suspect, a Pakistani Spaza-shop owner. Tell me about how we got to this information and to this point.
No, thank you very much. Look, the community at this point in time have been very instrumental and very assistive in terms of cracking the whole case. When the public safety department, when we went to the memorial service, we've indicated that we are giving 24 hours that we're going to find this, the criminal. And then while we were busy speaking, there was a tip-off that there's a person that was last seen with Likhona. So we actually followed that up, and the woman, we've been talking to her and everything. We met up with that woman. And then when we actually plotted 3 houses, of which there's, that house where the suspect stays, and then there was another house where the girlfriend stays, and then there was another house, but it was a house in question. So it was the last scene with that guy entering the house, and they've never seen her coming out again. So Likhona was quite a very bubbly person, an outgoing person, and hanging out. And then there was this other Spaza-shop they used to hang out with the friends and everything. So from the tip-offs now of the community, there's an allegation that also that Spaza-shop's owner that is there were some issues, but we cannot say what is happening. But also there's part of the people that were involved in terms of actually keeping her. Look, we're still looking for the motive at this point in time. But what I can tell you that when we interviewed the family and go deeper into it, she was a person that was like a tomboyish-like individual, like going out with the friends, and the friends would just call her outside, and then she'll run out, and then she'll go with those friends and go out like what the normal girls do. So yeah, so that's how we actually crashed it. So we've actually surrounded the area at the Durban Deep. And we closed it, near to the corner to corner. And then the suspect, we knew that it was Mduduzi. We got his profile, and we found that this guy was actually he's coming from jail. He was out on parole on alleged murder charges and all of that. So we cornered him, and I think that because we put more pressure day and night, he started to really to give himself up, because the JMP, the undercover unit, and the K9 unit, they were in the area and also working very close with SAPS. I can tell you, SAPS, the investigation officers were excellent, because once we got everything, we just went to the magistrate. They said there's only one person that we need to interview that was also saw Likhona entering that house. When we got that, we entered. So, yeah, so that's how we actually, we crack it.
So just to understand, the suspect that was arrested yesterday, this Mduduzi that you're mentioning, that is the person that you say was out on parole?
Yes, he was out. He's actually convicted criminal, a thug, a gangster. So it's one of those things that, so I think that, he's been signing at the Roodepoort police station. So that's what we actually know about him. But
do we know what crimes he was convicted of?
I can check. One of them is actually a culpable homicide, and then some robbery as well. That's what I actually got in my OB. Okay,
but the latest,
but some dangerous,
Apologies. Yeah. The latest development, of course, is this Pakistani Spaza-shop owners. Talk to me about your understanding of that individual, the role they would have played, and perhaps some details on what we know about him, age, that sort of thing.
Look, with this one here, we actually got a tip-off, from the community members as well, that there's been some, that individual as well has been instrumental in terms of actually getting her killed. But at this point in time, the investigation and the affidavit there with the IO, we can't disclose it at this point in time because it's a fresh thing and all of that, but I will be able to comment tomorrow. Yeah. But what I can tell you is that it's also linked into the matter of Likhona.
Because this is what your statement that you've issued essentially says, is that this particular suspect has been arrested, has been identified and arrested as a result of information that says that he may have given the instruction for Likhona to be killed, this Pakistani Spaza-shop owner.
Yes, ma'am. So we can't go into the details of actually that. But I think as we're developing into the case, and I don't want to, because it's a matter of subs, I don't want to overstep in terms of that, so it can jeopardize this in investigation. But we've actually been tipped off, and also through this, the interrogation of Duduzi and also the community, we managed to establish that there's a link between Duduzi and also that, the Pakistani as well there.
Now, what's the next step? This individual has been arrested. Do you know when they're set to appear?
Not yet, but we're going to ensure that Duduzi and this individual, they don't actually get bail. Because the crime, look, what is happening there is Duduzi, so Likhona there is not the only person. There are quite a number of women actually in that area that are being killed. And I really don't suspect the issue of, what do you call these things, of rituals and everything at this point in time, even though that there was, the cutting of the private parts. It looks as if it's more in terms of the GBV and, violence against women and actually all of that. And then also Likhona being more of a tomboy, I can say a lesbian, that actually stigma as well can actually play a role, because when I asked the people around and all of that, that was kind of a thing, that is there in terms of that. So we are going to follow up on the case very closely. But I saw that Tim was applying for the bail, but our attitude is that he must not actually get a bail. He's a second offender, so really he's actually the slight risk. But look, we will keep you guys updated in terms of that. And what I've learned, or we've learned from this, the community plays a big role. And secondly is that my colleagues from the SEPs and also from the JNPD, I've told them that they must, when the lead is fresh, when something has happened, we must not waste time and all the documentation. We must look at the lead. That woman that actually told the community kept on calling us that they see something of this nature like that. And then we, at the JNPD and some of the guys with SEPs, we didn't sleep. We're going after this case and looking at the suspect and anyone actually know, because we've got all the plots in terms of she went out at home, she went to a place called a garage, which was an entertainment area, and then from there she went to Deep Clove. There was a bash there as well. So there's quite a lot of things that we've So we're going to follow it up and ensure that this case is
MMC, I understand that you obviously have limitations of what you are able to share with us, but just a few more issues, if you'd allow me. This Pakistani Spaza-shop owner that has been arrested, that you believe is involved in the murder of Likhona Foso, is this individual known to Likhona's family, and what has been the response from the family? No. He's not. To be honest with you, is that what the uncle said is that Likhona was an outgoing person, and people, his friends or people who were looking for him and whoever, they did not enter the house, because it was, the people were like, tomboyish and like that. And then there was that kind of a stigma, sort of. So most of his friends, but they knew, like, quite a very small number of people who she was close with and who she used to interact with, especially young kids going to school. It was more school.
But other people, like maybe she would know my Spaza-shop, so other individuals, they did not know at all. So it was up to us to really go and dig in terms of who saw her first, who called Likhona on that day, because they're saying that someone actually called her, and then she went out, and then she never came back. So we had to find out in terms of that. So we would not know in terms of the link, but through the community and also those who actually have seen her, and also some on the circles of hers, is that there's a link in terms of the Pakistani was one of the people who actually ordered the hit on that. But look, we're going to look into this thing, and I don't want to divert much because
no, I understand and I understand as investigations go on. Just one last thing, and I will release you, MMC. You mentioned earlier that in the area of Durban Deep, the community sharing information with authorities that there have been other murders of women. I mean, are you able to give us some details on those women that have been murdered? What information we know about those attacks?
No, there was another person was found murdered, but we're still investigating that. We're actually going to be zooming in. I mean, there seems to me now to be a lot of GBV cases which are on the rise. In Durban Deep, there's one in Diepkloof, currently. A woman was actually shot by a boyfriend. And then also there's a heightened activity at the Protea North area where that guy went inside Pick n Pay and he shot the woman. So we just decided on our side that we should actually probably launch another line from the JMPD to actually help SEPs in terms of, but there's been some murders in that area. We've been asked that we must actually focus and have a visibility and also put some undercover unit just to check what is happening. But one of the things that we found, or people have been telling us, that there's been a lot of taverns that have been open around the area, a lot of drinking that is happening and violence that is happening there.
But the murders of other women in Durban Deep that you mentioned, MMC, I mean, do you have dates as to when those bodies were discovered, that body?
If I still remember quite well, 2 weeks back or so, 2 weeks roughly, two weeks back. But I don't have that data in front of me because I'm on this case, but I know that there was one that was discovered, I think, last week or so, and the one a week before. So there is quite a lot of murders of women around that area there, of which we are going to zoom in. Most probably maybe Friday or so, we might just get the profile in terms of what is happening. I mean, since that we've asked, I can actually come back and actually profile in terms of the numbers of murders around the area.
That would be great.
But if you remember, that area is an area that is infested with the Zamazamas. That's the first area. It's in Amatole. It's Amatole, Durban Deep, Solplaatje area, the whole triangle. That's where, when we had a meeting, it's Ward 127, when we had a community meeting there, while we were busy talking, 4 women were dragged into the mountains and raped by the Zamazamas in that area. So a new trend now is that they will take the women from that area. The Zamaza will take the women and they will take them into the belly of the earth. And then they will ask for some ransom. So this is the new development which is actually happening there. So Zamazamas, instead of taking out some gold that is there or whatever pressure that is there, now there's an extortion and a kidnapping, for ransom and all of that. But I know that area, anyone can actually tell you that those Zamazamas, some of them used to take women from the community, take them into the mountains, or they will take them into the belly of the earth, and then they will ask for money.
MMC,
but it's fine. Don't despair. We are onto it. It has gone quiet now. We are onto it, but this is the reality that is actually happening there. Of course, we did operations and we've closed the SEPs and JMPD have closed most of those mines around the area. So this new trend now that is happening there, we're observing it. But we'll probably come back and then we'll give more light in terms of the crime patterns around the area.
And please, MMC, we really would appreciate it. Likhona Fose, I mean, what has happened to this little girl, having shocked the nation.
Bad.
Yeah, and
that
then
was bad. I couldn't sleep.
It was. I mean, and here's the reality: when we tell the story to South Africans as a news broadcaster, we also need to, remind our viewers that it is a difficult story to hear. We need to have those disclaimers. So, MMC, we do appreciate your time. MMC there for Public Safety in the city of Johannesburg, Councillor Dr. Mgcini Tswaku, giving us an update on the Likhona Fose matter. The latest being a new suspect has been arrested. This is a Pakistani Spaza-shop owner in Durban Deep, having been arrested in connection with the murder. Another suspect, of course, having claimed that the Pakistani Spaza-shop owner gave the instruction for the murder of the 14-year-old little girl. This is after Mduduzi Mnisi made a brief appearance in the Roodepoort Magistrates Court. And then we hear from the MMC this evening that last week a woman's body was identified in Durban Deep. A week before that, another woman's body. And so he will, of course, come back to us with more data as to the challenges that are being faced by that community in Durban Deep.